We do want to begin with the very latest on the assassination of Haiti's president. Haiti's police chief says there are now 28 suspects, 2 of them Haitian American, but the vast majority Colombian. The Colombian government, meantime, vowing to help to get to the bottom of all this. Stefano Polzibon is in Bogota with more.
The Colombian Defense Ministry announced on Thursday that at least 6 retired members of the Colombian Armed Forces are believed to have been involved in the assassination of Haiti's President Jovenel Moise. The Colombian National Police Chief, General Jorge Luis Vargas, said that 2 of the alleged attackers who were killed in an operation by the Haiti police were retired officers of the army, while 4 men believed to be involved in the assassination and who are currently detained by the Haiti police had served as soldiers. The announcement came shortly after Haiti Police Chief Leon Charles said that at least 26 Colombian citizens were involved in the assassination, as well as 2 Haitian Americans. The Haiti police has said that they have counted 17 members of the attack as of Thursday night, while the investigations are still ongoing. For CNN, this is Stefano Polzibon, Bogota.
And check out this video. Police say these 2 men here were taken into custody in Haiti after some residents found them hiding in bushes. Now, there are also some reports today that at least 2 of the suspects are Americans. Now, Haiti officials did say the attack has been condemned by Haiti's main opposition parties. As for moving forward, according to Haiti's constitution, the late president should be replaced by the president of the Supreme Court. But get this, that Chief Justice recently passed away from COVID-19, so that leaves open the question of who might rightfully succeed to that office. And we're continuing to follow the world's reaction to the assassination, and we're hearing from the Caribbean community as well. Many leaders basically saying they want peace in Haiti. Here's our DeAndre Hamilton.
CARICOM had only hours before the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moise approved the intervention of the Caribbean community in the ongoing turmoil in Haiti, feeling the lives of the 11.26 million Haitians living in the country were under threat due to the instability. An expert group was assigned by CARICOM to review the situation, a situation where factions were calling for a general election for President Jovenel Moise to resign amidst allegations of corruption and despite broad support for him from lower-income Haitians. The Wednesday morning murder of the 53-year-old president and serious injury to his wife Martine have stunned the world. Mercenaries posing as task force officers infiltrated the layer-thick security of President Moise and shot him dead. By Wednesday night, 2 were arrested. The hunt continues and CARICOM leaders are speaking. The government of the Bahamas is deeply saddened by these developments and strongly condemns the actions of the perpetrators, said Bahamas Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis. The Bahamas has closed its embassy in Haiti. The 4 employees are said to be safe. Haiti's air and seaports are closed. No traffic is allowed through Port-au-Prince, and the Haitian army is heavily armed and on the streets. From Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, I have met and spoken with President Moise many times, and in all my interactions with him, I found him to be a man committed to seeing Haiti take her place in the world. This heinous act is a stain on Haiti and a sorrowful time for the region. From Prime Minister Mia Mottley, the assassination of President Moise of Haiti is an atrocious act which Barbados vehemently condemns. Violence can never be a solution and must be rejected in all circumstances. Turks and Caicos Premier Washington Mizik said, "My prayer is that the perpetrators are found and held accountable for their malicious actions and that peaceful resolve and good order can arise from such a horrible tragedy." And from the chairman of CARICOM, Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, a pledge to support Haiti through this dark hour. First Lady Moise was medically evacuated to Florida.
Well, now to the latest on the Olympics. In the face of rising COVID-19 cases in Japan, officials there have made the decision that many had speculated about in recent weeks. The games will go on, but without spectators at all. And it's a decision that many living in Tokyo are okay with. Tom Lamas brings us more from Tokyo.
The Prime Minister declaring a state of emergency surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, and now we're also learning the government saying they will not have any fans at the Olympic Games. The Prime Minister saying this is because there's been a small uptick in cases in Tokyo. They're really worried about the Delta variant, and they don't want an outbreak or even a super spreader event to happen during the Olympic Games here. People in Tokyo are not excited about the Games. A recent poll showed that more than 50% of the Japanese people wanted the Games either canceled or postponed. That's not going to happen. It's just too late in the process. There's also very strict guidelines for the foreigners coming in. Even the president of the IOC, the man responsible for all the Olympic Games, he just got to Tokyo. He also is under a quarantine.
And I think we can all be very satisfied that the strict measures having been established to protect everybody, the Japanese people and the participants of the Games.
And again, the major headlines today, Tokyo now under a state of emergency, and the Olympic Games, for the first time ever, will not have fans in the stands. Back to you.
Well, for the first time since entering politics in St. Lucia 35 years ago, the Minister for Infrastructure, Ports, Energy and Labor, Stephenson King, will not represent the United Workers' Party in a general election. King confirmed on Thursday night in an address to the nation that he will run as an independent candidate in those polls coming up on July 26th. The announcement came just 4 days after the Prime Minister announced the election date and amid speculation that he would sever ties with the ruling party. He said that after some deep soul searching and trying to convince his party colleagues to pursue a different brand of politics, he reached that conclusion that he could no longer be part of an organization that he hardly recognized.
Never have I been so repulsed by the blatant disrespect and callous contempt in which so many ordinary people have been held by those who now hold political office. In all good conscience, I cannot go to the people and ask them to endorse for another 5 years what has just preceded us and to repose the leadership of this country in the same group of people in some mistaken belief that it will be all right in the morning. I am a team player and someone who has spent over 35 years in service and in the United Workers' Party. I felt that I had to first try and do everything in my power before making the decision that I am now announcing. I have therefore decided that I will not be putting myself forward as one of the candidates for the UWP at the upcoming general elections. I will, however, in answer to the calls of so many people, both here and abroad, and in the constituency of Castries North, be contesting the general elections as an independent candidate, seeking a mandate as a patriotic St. Lucian in the Parliament of St. Lucia.
Well, the 62-year-old King was St. Lucia's sixth prime minister after the death of Sir John Compton back in 2007. He remained in office until 2011. Well, now to the latest on the revival of the cruise industry. The Port of Seattle preparing for cruises to start later this month. And earlier this week, 30 Royal Caribbean employees set sail for a test cruise to Alaska. Michael Crow reports.
Cruise ships have long sat empty since the early days of the pandemic, when onboard outbreaks stranded passengers and crews scrambled for ports to accept them. Now the industry is setting sail once again.
We're thrilled to be back here in Seattle after such a long layoff, being the very first cruise ship and the very first cruise brand to sail to Alaska from our home port of Seattle.
Mark Tamas of Royal Caribbean is here for the simulation voyage, vaccinated employees standing in for vacationing customers on a short Alaskan cruise. This is the second such test after the first out of Miami.
And what they're doing is they're helping us bring our protocols that we've been working on for a long time, for almost a year and a half, to life. and make small adjustments.
All that with observers from the CDC on board. They'll even simulate having a sick guest. The return of cruises means big money for Seattle. Before the pandemic, the industry brought in almost $1 billion for the local economy.
We're really looking forward to this. This simulated cruise will give them a lot of information, and same with the Port of Seattle.
The first real cruise leaves Seattle July 19th. Passengers may not notice some of the changes, like expanded medical facilities, onboard testing, and better ventilation. Others will be more apparent, like a shift away from self-serve buffets. Still, operators could have some work to do, convincing people to get back on board after some of the horrifying scenarios from the start of the pandemic.
The most important thing is making sure our guests feel safe, because that really is going to give them this comfort level to relax and have a great vacation like they really want to do.